Good morning. I'm here in Boston at the MIT Sloan Conference with this EVP and CFO of Red Sox in Boston. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here, and thank you for joining us. What I want you to get out of this short video is how you can leverage data and analytics from a CFO's point of view. And Tim has done that really successfully at Red Sox, so let's hear his story. Tim.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky enough to be with the Red Sox since 2003, which so I've been there for 18 years. It's been an incredible ride. I have 4 World Series rings in my closet, which is amazing. But more importantly, it's the journey on the business side. What we've been able to do with the Red Sox to take it from really an organization that didn't use that much data on a business side to really we're using it in every place. It's been really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, so you're not the typical CFO, and as we look to the future, the CFOs who are listening to this and the future CFOs who are listening to this would be really interested in getting your views on how have you leveraged technology and data and built a culture of analytics to add value to the business. That really is the key, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it started with getting buy-in from the top. So the former president and CEO, Larry Lucchino, who was the president and CEO for the first part of my tenure, and then Sam Kennedy, who's been the president for the last several years, just getting them to believe in the power of what data can do for your business, how it can help make better decisions, more efficient decisions, raise revenues, lower expenses, everything. So that's been a journey that we've been on, and we've been able to do that by succeeding early on, doing some projects that they saw the value in, and then building that organizational buy-in.
So you're not this big multinational organization. It is a small team. How big is your team?
I have about 15 people on my accounting and data analytics side. I also oversee technology and IT, which is another 20 people.
Right. So it's not a massive team. And so, I don't want viewers to think that it's only the big, large companies that can leverage the technologies and really leverage data to add value. So in terms of where you started the journey, we'd like to hear where you started the journey, what types of technologies are you using, and what are the skill sets? Those are the 3 things that I think we should explore.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, almost everything was in Excel, and it was just me, and that was sort of the very beginning, looking at ticket prices, looking at trends. We've evolved tremendously, and now we're using EMC servers to house our data warehouse. We're using Tableau to do the reporting. We're using Data Robot to do some machine learning and AI. We're using Axiom to append to customers. We're using all sorts of different technologies. It's expanded quite a bit, but it's all to support our efforts of being more data-driven.
And so if the viewers want to kind of figure out where do I start, how do I start small without spending millions of dollars on this type of build, what would you suggest to them in this day and age?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's most important is to identify 1 or 2 questions or problems that you're trying to solve. And ask yourself what those, for us it was how do we price our tickets better was 1, and how do we learn more about our fans was 2. Those were our customers. And then we said, okay, what's the data we have access to? What's the data we can go out and get access to? How do we organize that data in a manner that we know it's accurate, and then how do we, most importantly, deliver key insights to key decision makers that allow them to use the information in a way that helps them make decisions.
And we talked about insights that are actionable. And so there is this culture of, yes, using data, leveraging technology, but also understanding, and you gave some really good examples, the 2 key questions you were trying to answer. But when you're looking at the actionable insights, what kind of processes do you go through in terms of thinking about how can this data be applied to a certain decision? Could you give us some examples which are kind of the next level down from ticket prices is a really good example.
For example, ticket prices, I think we try to deliver the data in a really visual format. So we use heat maps, we use charts, we use, for someone like Sam Kennedy, our president and CEO, he's so busy that he has to be able to see something quickly, understand the key insight right away. And so we'll have maps of Fenway Park that show the areas that are overpriced or underpriced based on red, green, orange. And it's very quickly you can see it, and you can say, okay, that's where I want to maybe raise prices a little bit, that's where I might think about lowering prices. So those visuals are critical for us. And delivering them, we deliver them on people's phones in the Tableau app. We're trying to make it very real time. They refresh every minute. That's what we're trying to do.
And we also talked about you really engaged in that customer journey and customer experience. And that's a dimension where CFOs are not often engaged. How have you done that? How did you get into that realm of customer experience?
Yeah, well, I think that I view my job as CFO in 2 key components. Clearly, the core accounting part of the AR, AP, budgeting, forecasting, audit, all of that is critical, and I have to get that right. And someone like with a different background like myself, I rely on my team who are very well trained, very skilled in those areas to help me with that part of it. On the other side, since I grew up more, or I came up the organization on the business analytics side, I work closely with our head of ticketing, I work closely with our head of marketing, I work closely with our head of sponsorship, developing those relationships so that they can have buy-in and I can help them do their jobs better by delivering these data and insights. So I think on that side of it, maybe that's the more atypical side,
right,
where I've tried to impact the entire business and helping us grow revenues ultimately.
Right, so really important to be cross-functional and understanding the needs of these various functions that are supporting the business. And it seems like you've taken a lead on this, owning the data and owning the analytics on the business side.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have, and I think I give a lot of credit to my team, because also the other important thing is hiring and finding really talented people. I'm very fortunate to have really stars across the board in this area who are passionate about the same thing, have the same vision, but work hard and are just really sharp people and so that's really critical, because I haven't, I get a lot of the credit for what we've done, but I don't do a lot of the actual work. I have people doing it, for me, and so that's been really important to have great people doing it. And I think that, again, our organization has really just bought in top to bottom in this idea that this data can help everywhere. It can help in HR, it can help in sales, it can help in operations, et cetera.
Right. So when you look at the type of team you have and skills and competencies, one of the things that we at the association are really, really focused on are the future skills and competencies, and our CGMA program really drives that. So a key thing that we found is for future finance professionals to be digital natives. Yeah. And digital skills is at the center of our competency framework. Yeah. So could you talk about the type of skills that you look for in that team that you're building so that you're successful in the future?
Yeah, well, I think that the core competencies are sort of table stakes. People that have to have the right background, the training, the skills to do the job that they're supposed to do. And then we look for people that are just incredibly passionate, incredibly innovative, willing to try new things, willing to challenge status quo, and are excited about doing new things, because we feel like we're an innovative organization that tries to do new things.
Right, and there's a core component, though, which is around using data and analytics with a mindset which is different, right? You talked about being inquisitive and creative, etc. But the discipline of data and analytics requires a more disciplined process. How did you pick that up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a numbers guy. Math was my favorite subject growing up. I was a math teacher actually for a few years before I got in the Red Sox. And I think that just, embracing numbers, embracing what they can help you tell a story, especially when you analyze them in a certain way, has just always been a calling card for me in the 18 years I've been with the Red Sox. And I think that I've tried to instill that in my team as well, this sort of belief that this can help us in a lot of ways. Okay,
just some parting thoughts to current CFOs and aspiring CFOs as to what they should do to get familiar and to actually embrace this whole data and analytics culture.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of key takeaways I would say. First of all, the most important thing is to try to identify the problems that you're trying to solve, or the questions you're trying to answer on the front end. And then I think be patient. I don't think this is something where you can go 0 to 60 all at once. You can't just go to your president and say, hey, I want $10 million to launch this data. It has to sort of be progress over time. And if you rush it, you might make a mistake. And if you make mistakes early on, that can be devastating to the sort of reputation of what you're trying to achieve. So I think patience, I think, identifying those problems up front, I think finding the right people, as I talked about earlier, is critical. And I think, again, going back to just delivering insights in a way that are actionable. You can create all these different charts, all these different things, but if the ultimate people that are trying to make decisions aren't able to see how it's helping them make a decision, that's the ultimate goal. You're trying to help people make better decisions.
Thank you very much, Tim. I hope that was helpful to all of you. Fantastic having you.
Thanks very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim.